Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Aaron2for20, and this week we got a really big week for the weekly transactions. I guess a lot of people really hated their teams after 2 weeks, so it wasn't even a lot of people. Just there's like 3 or 4 people that we're gonna be going over today, and they had a lot of changes. So if you guys are hyped for all the changes this week, make sure to leave a like down below. And check out every week for weekly transactions to see if your favorite coach makes a trade and maybe they give up your favorite mon and you hate them, or maybe they pick up a mon you love even more and you love them even more. Without further ado, let's get right into the trades. So first up, we're going to start with the only coach who decided to use all of their free agency picks for this week. We got Papa C, coach of the New York Clinks, and he is dropping Skarmory, Minior, I cry every time, and Sandslash for Excadrill, Gigalith, and Weezing. So while my boy Papa C dropped one of my favorite mons, and I really hate that he dropped Minior, he ended up picking one of my favorite playstyles, actually. He picked up Sand. So I gotta give him credit for that. He has a much better ground type than Sandslash, so, you know, he actually has a viable electric immunity. And also dropped 2 of his electric weaknesses, so, you know, I can't knock him on that. What he mentions is he wanted to be more offensive with his team. I don't know how you get more offensive than Hoopa-U and Manaphy. I mean, while I do like the approach of having better physical offense, Hoopa-U still is a very physical wall breaker. He didn't necessarily mention the physical part specifically, but I mean, Hoopa-U and Manaphy are 2 very powerful special wall breakers. So, I like the option that it's fast and that he doesn't need to rely on Z moves to get fast. But at the same time, though, he probably would have preferred a tank much better, to be honest. Something that could actually take a U-turn. I mean, Drill is still a phenomenal mon. Just sort of giving my opinion there. He notes he has a slight fighting weakness now, but he does have a much lessened electric weakness, and the fighting weakness he says is much more manageable than his electric weakness was, and that I do strongly agree with, especially having Weezing. I mean, Weezing helps that fighting weakness a little bit. Hoopa-U, not necessarily going to switch into fighting types, especially because most are physical, and it doesn't exactly have good physical defense at all, but I mean, it could still revenge off fighting types of things such as a Spec Psychic, for example. So I do like his options for handling fighting. It's at least better than his electric handling options were, because his electric handling options were like Sandslash, and that's not exactly a good one. He notes that he also picked up Weezing because he didn't want his team to just die to every physical hit, which I do agree, because dropping Skarm, you lost your only really solid physical wall. So I mean, Weezing, while it doesn't have recovery, I mean, it's still at least a nice physical bulk option should he need it. So he also likes Gigalith purely to set up Sand for Drill. I like it also because it gives him a rocker since he's dropping Minior and Skarmory and Sandslash. That's 3 rockers gone right there. And his only rocker that he picked up was Drill. So and Drill's not exactly a good rocker, but I mean, Gigalith's a really solid one. I've used Gigalith before. I really like it as a rocker. So I mean, I personally like his trades. I don't know how I feel necessarily about them on his team. He'll have to show me that, for example, in the future weeks, such as week 3 and on. It's a little too late for him to make any other free agents, though, so hopefully these do wear out for him, because he's going to need to rely on other people trading with him should he decide to fix his team up anymore. Next up, though, speaking of trades, we actually have a trade coming from Greg and Leo. They are trading Salazzle and Silvally for Snorlax and Rotom Cut. Leo says that he didn't really like Silvally or Salazzle in the rest of his matchups, and he really hated how Salazzle was very frail. So, Snorlax obviously is really fat, so it helps with the frailness that Silvally, well, not necessarily Silvally, but Salazzle had, and it also is very set up. Now, you notice I didn't mention Rotom Cut. We'll get into that later. Greg says that he wanted to trade with Leo because Salazzle is trade fodder, as I'll get into the trades, into the free agents they both had later. And he really likes Memento with Silvally. He says it's going to be a great way for him to pivot into his big 3 that he considers, being Mega Gallade, Celesteela, and Zygarde. And it allows all of them to set up. It's like Autotomy, Celesteela, D-Dance, or Coil Zygarde, SD Mega Gallade, all phenomenal options. Even Bulk Up Mega Gallade, to be honest. I just got tossed by that, so I know it's a very threatening mon should you let it set up. And having Memento to make sure that you can guarantee setup, because not many mons are going to want to stay in after having both their attack stats lowered. I mean, some will, but most times you wouldn't. And to be fair, if a mon would really stand, Greg probably wouldn't pivot into it. He'd probably pivot into something that would be forced out. So, speaking of Greg, though, and Salazzle, he's actually going to be dropping Salazzle and Togekiss, surprisingly, for Whimsicott and Rotom Wash. Now, Greg notes here, before I get into the rest of the reasons, he would like to be referred to by the D-League coaches as Satan 2.0 with how he uses his Whimsicott. He wants to piss off every coach in the D-League possible by any means necessary. He does not want any of them to like him after this, because he wants to just be a bitch with his Whimsicott. He wants to taunt and encore shenanigans everyone. He likes the utility a lot, and as I said, he really just wants to piss off every coach. He said, I could not preface this enough. I think I've tried my best to. Rotom Wash, he likes to be a nice answer to birds. He really likes the option a lot better to Volt Switch. The typing is much better. It can actually handle birds defensively, unlike Rotom C, which just gets Brave Birded or Hurricane to death. Togekiss, he said, will be missed, but he prefers his defense having momentum options, I should say, and pivots, such as Rotom Wash and Silvally. He also says, and I quote, he does not mind lacking hazard removal for this week, as he said that most likely he will be picking some up in a future week, such as maybe next week or the week after. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that, because Greg says he will definitely be making a transaction for some hazard removal. He says he would love for his opponent to try and set up spikes or rocks versus his team, and then just die to his breakers, such as a Alolan Marowak, which would just appreciate having a free turn to just get a massive hit off on something. So next up though, we have Leo, who's dropping the Rotom C that I mentioned earlier for Blaziken. I really like this trade. It gives Leo a really solid fighting type. He mentions he likes the baton pass options, which gives his team not only momentum, but it gives him options to pass physically offensive setups, such as Swords Dance and Bulk Up. He likes that it can be a very mixed offensive mon. Base 110 special attack, 120 physical attack. It's really solid. Base 80 speed's really nice too. Personally, it's my favorite tier to actually run a Scarfer at. So hopefully Leo can make that work. Even if he doesn't, it still has priority and options such as Vacuum Wave. So hopefully he can make Blaziken work. I actually really like Blaziken. It even has agility setup should he want to set up with Blaziken on its own. Or I'm pretty sure it gets agility. If not, I know at the very least it does get Flame Charge. Though I'm almost positive I've run agility on it before. If not, that may have been a legal set. But finally, though, we have Aster. And Aster's not necessarily making any transactions per se, but I figured this should be included because it sort of fits in. He's actually just adding him onto a Z roster from his current roster. He has decided to give Quillfish a Z move with his last points for Z points. Now, he has decided this because he really likes the diversity that Quillfish has, at least with the Z options, such as maybe a Water Gym Z Rain Dance with Swift Swim, because nothing's really going to outspeed at that point. He can run like no speed at that point, because I'm pretty sure it's base 95, and with Swift Swim, it's either base 80 or 95, I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But with the Swift Swim, it can allow it to run just massive bulk, because it'll be a +3 speed mon. Also, other Z options with his coverage, maybe some other Z utility, so we'll have to see for the future weeks. So he says that he really just likes how it gives Quillfish a mon that's otherwise not the best mon, just something more to have in its roster when people are prepping for it. So I really do like that from Aster. Hopefully he can make it work. Maybe some sort of coverage move will catch someone off guard and that he'll be able to just nuke them with it. But that is going to be it for transactions this week. Remember, if you guys enjoyed, leave a like. Check out all the D-League coaches linked in the description below. Make sure to subscribe so you guys keep up with all the analyst shows. And come back next week where you see maybe if Greg picks up hazard removal or some other favorite coach of yours makes a trade that you would otherwise maybe not expect. So without further ado, I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.